Bine v-am regăsit la un nou sezon Secvențe Trinitas. Alături de colega mea, Alina Buzea, vă dăm întâlnire în fiecare zi de luni, marți și miercuri de la ora 18:30 pe Trinitas TV. Pentru primul reportaj din noul sezon am ajuns tocmai în Irlanda, iar invitatul nostru de astăzi s-a născut în Marea Britanie, însă a ales Irlanda pentru că a venit în vizită în România. Despre cine este vorba, aflați imediat. Aici, în râul Shannon, scriitorul englez Paul Kingsnorth s-a întors acasă, adică a devenit creștin ortodox. După o viață de căutări, acum la 49 de ani, unul dintre cei mai apreciați scriitori englezi a devenit ortodox. Noi am stat de vorbă cu el vara aceasta la mănăstirea ortodoxă românească din Shannonbridge, Irlanda, iar astăzi, la Secvențe Trinitas, vă invităm să-i descoperiți povestea.
Ne-am întâlnit cu scriitorul englez Paul Kingsnorth chiar la locul unde anul acesta de bobotează a devenit creștin ortodox.
Just in there, yes. Although the water was up to here, so it was down. I can't remember. It was so cold. I just had to concentrate on going down and going up, not staying alive. That was as quickly as possible. Yeah. To be a lot warmer today.
Oh, yeah, but it's still
cold. Yeah, but the river was a lot higher then. Actually, it was just up to the edge here where the steppe is, I think. So, yeah, the rivers have been very low. We haven't had much rain until you arrived, and then you brought all the rain with you.
I'm sorry. I thought the heat wave was here too.
I know, well, it was.
But it left.
Yeah, it did.
Vremea imprevizibilă a Irlandei ne-a stricat planurile și am pornit către mănăstirea ortodoxă românească din Shannonbridge. Alături de maica Iosifia și de părintele Tudor Ghiță, duhovnicul scriitorului, ne-am adăpostit de ploaie.
Yeah, it's a lovely place. It's quite a blessing to have it near.
În fiecare duminică, Paul vine aici, alături de familia lui, la Sfânta Liturghie. Venea și înainte să devină ortodox, pentru a sta de vorbă cu părintele Tudor, care slujește deseori în lăcașul de cult.
How's your emotion now during the liturgy?
Well, it's still very strong, actually. It's interesting. I mean, it's different. The liturgy always has a powerful effect on me, one way or the other. Sometimes it's very powerful from the start, and other times it's sort of building up very slowly during the service, but it's always...
And of course, combined with confession, which you learn to do that as well, You learn that to confess all your life.
Părintele Tudor este cel care l-a și botezat ortodox.
Când l-am cunoscut, mi-am dat seama că era pregătit deja legat de ortodoxie, de creștinism, citise mult și pe urmă am aflat că este un om literat care e interesat de asta, mai ales fiind un scriitor cunoscut. Am discutat mult și la un moment dat m-am întrebat când ar putea să fie botezat. Și am zis că da, e sigur de asta, l-am întrebat. Am spus, fii sigur că vrei să faci asta.
How was the experience of the baptism?
Very cold. Extremely cold because it was January and it was in the River Shannon just down here. And it was a very cold day. It was icy and frosty. And Father Tudor said, look, we need to do the baptism properly. We need to do the immersion, not just put the water on you because, that's what you should do. And so he suggested, could we do it in the river? And yes, the sister here said, yes, we could try the River Shannon. And so that's what we did. It was very cold, indeed.
Ne-am băgat amândoi în apă, că m-am uitat, erau 4 grade. Și normal că primul impuls am dărdit, dar pe urmă vine așa putere.
So I got baptized in the river, and then we sort of ran back up here, and I changed my clothes, and then I came into the church here, and I was chrismated and received. But it was a very special day actually. It was lovely to be able to do it here as well, because this is where I've been coming for the liturgy.
Cum îl găsiți acum?
Îmbunătățit. Cred că e cuvântul potrivit și n-are rost să mai spun. Îmbunătățit și el muncește la lucrul ăsta, cât poate fiecare după puterea lui.
Paul Kingsnorth este romancier, poet și activist de mediu. S-a născut în Marea Britanie, într-o familie în care nu se discuta despre credință, însă el nu s-a simțit niciodată ateu.
My father's quite anti-religious, and my mother is just, she's very open to things, but she's not Christian. So no, it was quite an atheistic or just secular childhood, which is very common in England. That's how most people in England grow up. Most English people, it's just religion is not really a thing anymore.
Drumul către ortodoxie a început în urmă cu 10 ani. Simțea în permanență că îi lipsește ceva.
I've had a sense that there was something deep missing from life, which is the spiritual aspect of life.
How was your life back then?
I've been a writer for a long time. I was also an environmental activist, trying to protect nature. So I've been trying to protect what I would call creation now, but what I would call nature as well, from destruction for a long time. And to me, actually, that was something of a spiritual exercise, right? I saw something that was quite sacred in the world, and I saw that we were destroying it, and I wanted to protect it, but I didn't have any way to articulate that. And I always also had a sense that there was something greater. I had a sense that there was, possibly a God. I was not an atheist, really. I was open to things, but I didn't have anywhere to go. And this is very common in the West, and especially in England. Because we are sort of post-Christian now, if we have a sense that we're looking for God or we're looking for truth, we don't really know where to go and look for it. And we're quite allergic to Christianity. We think, that's just something we did in the past.
A practicat budismul, dar și diverse versiuni de neopăgânism, însă nu reușea să-și găsească liniștea.
I was a Buddhist for a long time. I even went into Wicca, which is a kind of modern pagan religion, but there was something missing, and the thing that was missing was God, actually.
În urmă cu doar câțiva ani a ajuns în România, unde pentru prima dată a intrat într-o biserică ortodoxă.
I was actually doing some work there. I was teaching, and I was running a sort of writing course with a friend of mine, and we'd arranged to. It was a writing course where we took people out into the wilderness, and we spent some time there, and we taught them to write about nature. So we actually went out into the Carpathians with some Romanian guides, which was amazing. And then I was in Bucharest for a couple of days, and I was just with a friend, and we were just being tourists walking around the town, and we came across this very small church. I don't know where it was, but it was on one of the main roads, and it looked very old. And I said, I'd love to go in there. And it was very dark, very old, lots of incense, people doing prostrations, and I had a very interesting, I had a very strong feeling. I thought, this is something very powerful about this.
La ieșirea din biserică și-a cumpărat o icoană, ca să-i amintească de România. La vremea aceea nu știa cine este sfântul reprezentat în icoană.
And I didn't know who it was. I had no idea, I couldn't read it. I just brought it home and it was interesting, and then it turns out to be Saint Ephraim the New Martyr.
Simte că Sfântul Efrem cel Nou i-a îndrumat pașii către ortodoxie. Ani de zile a ținut icoana în casa lui, fără să știe cine este.
I think he might have had something to do with me coming into the church. It was only when I came to the monastery that I found out who he was, because I brought it along and I said, who is this saint that I brought? And Sister Josephia said, Saint Ephraim the New Martyr,
A început să citească din ce în ce mai mult, până când a realizat că are nevoie de biserică.
When I looked into Orthodoxy, I had a strong feeling that there's something very different here. Something very mystical, something very true that is unchanged.
Mănăstirea ortodoxă românească din Shannonbridge se află la doar 45 de minute de locul în care locuiește.
I wrote to the sister and I said, could I come to a liturgy? And she said, please do.
Când a intrat prima dată în lăcașul de cult, a simțit ceva diferit. Știa în adâncul inimii lui că este, în sfârșit, acasă.
Being in an Orthodox church, and I'd never been to an Orthodox service before, had an enormous impact on me. And I just thought, this is very strange, because in many ways this is very foreign. Here I am, an Englishman in a Romanian church, in Orthodoxy, which I've never been in before, so it's very foreign, but at the same time it feels very much like I'm at home. Very strange, very old feeling.
Spune că, de fapt, ortodoxia l-a găsit pe el.
I dreamt about Christ very clearly, very strangely, because I didn't want to be a Christian, and I had this dream in which he was basically telling me that was what I was going to do. And I kind of fought that for a while. I said, I don't want to be a Christian. I'm not interested in that. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in resurrections and these kinds of things. That can't be real. So I sort of didn't want to be Christian, but I just kept, strange things were happening. I kept having these dreams, and I kept meeting Christians who wanted to talk to me, and people were writing to me and saying, hello, I'm a Christian and I've read your books, because I've written a lot of books, and they've said, here's something from the Bible that you might be interested in. Very strange. Lots of Christians coming at me. And I thought, something is going on here. This is very, very strange. I was open to strange things, but I wasn't open to being a Christian. But in the end, I said to myself, look, this is obviously real, something's going on here, so I have to find out what it is.
La aproape un an de la botez, scriitorul Paul Kingsnorth ne spune că viața i s-a schimbat.
If I look back on myself a year ago, in many ways I'm the same person, but actually if I look internally, I'm not the same person. I could feel that, I don't see the world quite the same way, things are shifting. So yeah, as I say, I'm very new, obviously, and I can see that it's just a lifetime's work of kind of allowing God to work on you, really, allowing Christ to work on you. And the hardest thing for me, I think, is just letting go and opening myself up and saying, okay, I just trust, and what will be, thy will be done. That's because I'm very, I'm quite a stubborn person, and I'm quite intellectual, and I like to make plans. But actually, the sense that you need to sometimes, often say, okay, well, you lead me. That's a good lesson. I'm learning that slowly, but but it's a constant process, isn't it? Of you walk forwards, then you fall down, then you pick yourself up, then you fall down, you pick yourself up, 100 times a day. But
how did your family react?
Well, my close family, very supportive. My wife is not Christian, but she's very, very supportive of what I'm doing. She comes here to the liturgy a lot. Daughter is Christian. My son is too young really to think much about it, but he comes along to the liturgy anyway and bravely sits through it. Actually, despite being 10, he manages to sit still all the way through. So that's.
De câțiva ani, Paul s-a mutat alături de familia lui în Irlanda, unde are o fermă și încearcă să trăiască cât mai aproape de Dumnezeu și de natură.
Living here allows us to have some element of peace. It allows us to bring our kids up in a way that we think is appropriate for the times. It allows us to teach them about this. It allows them to spend as much time as they can in nature as possible, which hopefully might make them useful or at least understanding when they grow up. It allows us to, plant 1,000 trees, which weren't here before. So there's useful work that you can do, but it's not going to stop climate change. Nothing's going to do that.
Can we protect the nature? Because I saw a documentary with you and you said we kind of lost this fight.
Well, here's the thing. I think that if you live in simplicity and you live in poverty and you live with love and you love your neighbor and you live the way that Christ is telling you to live, then you can't do the things that we've done to the world, because the way that we've destroyed nature is through greed and a desire for more and more and more riches. We're heaping up riches in the world so that we can fill our barns with them. We're doing exactly the opposite to what we're told to do. It was one of the saints who said, look, nature isn't our mother, nature is our sister. And I really like that. So how would you treat your sister? Right? You wouldn't treat your sister like this. So that's the answer.
Yeah, because the nature is not ours.
Well, exactly, yeah. It's not ours. I mean, if it's the creation, we don't get to own it.
I think that also your fight for the nature brought you to Orthodoxy too, because there's the same principles.
Yeah, I think so. I think exactly that. And in Orthodoxy, the other thing that was very powerful for me about Orthodoxy, as opposed to maybe some Western Christian teachings, is that God is very much, everywhere present.
When you realize that God is everywhere, you become more responsible.
Well, exactly. It's impossible for you to see the earth just as a thing that's created for your benefit. You'll hear some Christians in the West saying, oh, well, God created the earth and gave us dominion over it, so that means that we can do what we want. And you think, no, that's not. That's obviously wrong. You can feel that that's wrong. That's just an excuse you're making. And that's, exactly. If you can feel God in the rain that we can hear outside and in the forest and in the river, then it's a whole different relationship you're going to have with the world that you're in.
Paul Kingsnorth, considerat unul dintre cei mai talentați și vizionari scriitori ai timpului nostru, este autorul unor cărți vizionare de ficțiune și a unor eseuri pe teme de conservare a mediului.
Acest proiect este realizat cu sprijinul Secretariatului General al Guvernului, Departamentul pentru Românii de Pretutindeni, Conținutul acestui material nu reprezintă poziția oficială a Secretariatului General al Guvernului, Departamentul pentru Românii de Pretutindeni.